Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Man Surgery here on this Friday morning, which is the 15th, I think, of March. It may not be. It is the 12th of March. I'm 3 days ahead of myself, which is wonderful. I don't actually even know what day of the week it is. Do you know that? It's terrible. So this morning, we have got the very lovely Susan Watson on. And today, Susan has said that you've all just to piss off. It's as simple as that. She doesn't want to work with you today, so she said, everybody just piss off. So should be a good surgery, this one, eh?
You are such a troublemaker, Steve.
That's so funny.
I wasn't expecting that.
I could see Susan backstage. She's like that.
Troublemaker.
So yeah, she didn't say that you were to piss off live. She said that backstage. So didn't you say that?
But now you've got to explain why I said it. What Stephen said to me 1 minute before coming on live was, what are we going to talk about today, Susan? And I said, I have no idea, Stephen. I goes, but we have to talk about something. Why don't we just say piss off today and not do anything? I was joking. I wasn't really telling you to do that.
I knew you were joking. I was only kidding. So what I think we should do today, and what I think would be a really, really good thing to do, is get you guys talking, get you guys using the chat box and asking Susan questions. So let's do a live Q&A.
He never told me this was happening. This is called putting Susan on the spot.
Live Q&A on dealing with sexual...
What?
I'm joking. Stress.
Hey, wait a minute.
Well, you are a psychosexual therapist as well, so you could do sexual dysfunction as well.
Yes, but it's not something I would be prepared to. Well, I wouldn't. Do you know what? I can't even speak. Do I want to do a psychosexual session? Probably not.
No.
And I don't think you would want me to, because I haven't got a problem with going right into the nitty gritty sexually. But I could see you squirming at the thought of that, really, Stephen.
I'm really happy to talk about that. If you want to talk about that, Susan, is that what you want to talk about? No.
No, we'll just leave that today. However, on that subject, psychosexual issues are when people are having sexual problems that are not related to any issues physically wrong with them. So actually stress is one of the main things that actually impacts people's sexual relationships and performance. So I just thought, because you mentioned that, I would put that in there.
That's very interesting. So, what a way to start the surgery.
Yes.
So do any of you guys have any questions for Susan this morning? Because what we want to be really doing, because Susan and I, we do come on here and we chat a lot about stuff. We will still chat a lot about stuff, but we want to really be helping you guys, and we'd love your participation this morning. So please don't be scared to ask questions directly on the chat. Now, if anybody wants to ask anything but wants to be anonymous, then you can send a message to the Soul Man and Friends page, and I'll be able to ask Susan that question here live just now. But does anybody have any questions, anything that you would like to ask Susan on dealing with stress?
Or any of the therapies that I work with, anything. Yeah, I do lots of different things. So you might want to ask questions or anything else. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So we'll change that. Live Q&A on anything.
Yeah, why not? Let's make it anything. If I don't know it, we've got Stephen to answer.
I've been particularly quite stressed this week, Susan. I've been trying my best not to be, but I've just been so busy with work. Right now I'm almost finished writing a chemistry course. It's been so much hard work because I've had to get all my old books out and really like learn myself again, which has actually been really good for me because it's like refresher training almost for me.
I felt a bit like that yesterday morning, actually. It's not often I feel stressed. It's probably because I had a big fight with Scott, actually. We fell out and he went away to work. And I like a hug and a kiss and see you later. And he just went away without that. And I was like, it makes me feel rotten. It does. So it sounds ridiculous, but that's just how I am. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, why am I feeling so bad? Come on, sis, you're the one that's got all the tools. So it was the first time in a long, long time I was consciously wet noodling and I actually tapped it because I'm not wanting this feeling, I don't deserve it. So I tapped it 2 rounds of tapping and it was absolutely gone. And if I had put 1 to 10 how bad I felt, I would have put it at a 7 at that time. And after 2 rounds of tapping, I was like, I stuff it. There's not even there. There was a tiny little bit, maybe about a 1. And I thought, and that's okay because you should feel a 1. You should feel something when you've had an argument. But it was nothing that bothered me, so it just took it right away. So that was a reminder to me how good tapping and how useful it is when you feel rubbish. Because it's been a long time since I've had to use it. But it worked great. Like tap tap. Do that.
It's funny because we'd done a wee test the other day there, didn't we? You know, and it's really funny because in our relationships, like we're actually quite similar in our relationships. You know, like so Nikki's not someone who like she'll not like throw her arms around me and say, "Oh, I love you," but I'm that person, so I'm like, "Come here, I love you. Let me squish you." Like, leave me alone. But that was really interesting, that wee quiz that we done the other day, wasn't it?
I'm what's classed as I have an anxious attachment, if you were to look at it psychologically, which means that I like to say constantly, I love you, and I like to be told I love you. And the reason it's called anxious because it makes me feel safe at getting told. Where Scott is avoidant attachment, where actually somebody smothering them with all this love that I want to give makes him pull away. And he's somebody that doesn't have a need, doesn't express his emotions openly, sort of avoids it. And that's, I always say that we're absolutely everything in our life, we are so opposite, yet it works. For there's me chasing after him, love me, and he's running away, get away from me, get away from me. And that is what it's like, because he'll say things like, "Oh, Susan, you just tell me constantly. I don't need to know it. I know that you love me. You didn't need to tell me 10 times a day." And I'm saying, maybe you didn't need to hear it. I need to tell you, because that's my need to tell you. You just don't want to hear it. So it's really, these relationship things they're really interesting to do it, because we actually, how we act and what we need and feel in relationships now are learned as babies with our caregivers. Either, for instance, if you were a child that felt safer wanting to be invisible and not making a noise and just be quiet, or was told to sit in that corner or whatever, you might have that avoidance thing. You just think it's best to be quiet. Or if you're the child that perhaps felt that you didn't feel safe when you were a child, you'll be like me, cuddle me, hug me, love me, make me feel safe now. That's how it actually works. It's really interesting, really interesting.
So the test that I done was I have an attached partnership, so I'm very attached to her. And hers was the same as, I think was the same as your, what was your one, avoidance?
No, Scott's avoidance. I was anxious. I'm an anxious attachment, and Scott is an avoidance attachment.
Yeah, so Nikki is an avoidance attachment, and I was an attached attachment.
So you're probably quite balanced then, aren't you?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're the balanced sort of attachment. Where I get quite fearful if I don't get that feeling back, or for instance, Scott going away without saying I love you left me with that feeling of oh my god. So that's that anxiousness coming back, and that's to do with I need my relationship to make me feel safe.
Yeah.
But I recognise it, and you know what's really good because it actually explains a lot why I've been married 4 times. Because I need to feel loved and safe.
Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't have known any of this in the past. But now, when I look at it now, I can actually recognise perhaps things that I put up with in relationships where I shouldn't have. But I was probably fearful of not being in a relationship because then it leaves me feeling not loved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's really interesting. That's really interesting.
I find it fascinating. If anybody wants to have a wee go at that as well, we can share the link in the comments.
Yeah. Doesn't take long to fill it in. Just a few questions.
It's really, really good though, and I suppose it just kind of confirms what you already know, doesn't it? You know, I quite like the part of it where, so in the analysis part, it says, wait a minute. So I crave intimacy, but I'm also very sensitive and open to the smallest of perceived threats to this closeness. And I did find that interesting because I'm not someone who ever gets jealous. I never feel threatened in my relationship. You know, like Nikki could be standing in a room with 10 naked men and it wouldn't bother me in the slightest.
I'd be like, I'd be like crazy Kung Fu Susan going to be wanting to be hello.
The way that I see it though, you know, like if someone's gonna like do things out with the relationship, then that's gonna
I agree with you. I do agree with you. But my sensible head agrees with you. My anxious attachment inside me is where it is sort of jealousy, but it's more an insecurity in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you were actually had that confidence and felt secure in yourself, you wouldn't have that jealousy. So I always think jealousy isn't really about other people, it's about how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
So I think you're right there actually.
It's really interesting though, you know, like Nikki will say to me, what's your thought on that? Because Nikki does say to me, she's like, why do you not get jealous? Like
I've got a big line down my face, I'm trying to move, that's better.
Right. Nikki does say to me, she's like, there's nothing that I can do that ever makes you jealous of anything. I don't get jealous of other people, I don't get jealous in my relationship. Do you think that's normal though? Because I've always thought about it and thought, like, why is it that I didn't feel envious or jealous of people?
But you've just said that you've got an attachment that is a balanced, comfortable attachment, that you feel safe and loved and happy where you are. That you don't feel threatened, you don't feel anxious, you're not avoiding anything, you're just there, healthily attached to that person. That's a difference.
Would you say that the same applies to like work and all the rest of it? Because I'm really happy and
yeah.
I'm interested to see the people watching. Like, do any of you guys?
Excuse me.
Right? Do any of you guys experience jealousy in your own relationships? Like, you feel jealous of your partner, or your partner feels jealous of you? I'm interested to hear people's thoughts on that.
I once got a lot of time with Scott. I've been really jealous. I'm not really jealous, but I was drunk, and that was probably a key to why I got really jealous. Because Scott never does anything to make me feel jealous.
Actually,
and it really doesn't, because he just lives a quiet life, and he just. And even when all the men were going golfing together, he took me along with him. I was the only wife on a golf trip, because he just didn't want to go on holiday without me. So he just doesn't do anything ever to make me feel insecure. But this time when I was drunk, this woman came up to me, and it wasn't actually him, but it was more her. Long time ago, 20 years ago, says to me, what a handsome man he is. And he is really tall, 6'1", really handsome, and said, so interesting and so funny. I could just sit with them and talk with them all night. By this time, I was like, coming half cut. And then she says, I have to ask, how did somebody like you get a man like him? And I was ready to kick her head. I think I actually had to get dragged out the party, if I remember right. And that's not like me. So that was a vodka and wine fueled reaction. Where so really it was nothing he done. It was just my insecurity coming out because this woman was saying how wonderful he was. So I can't blame Scott for that. It was just my jealous side coming out.
I think Nikki does get a wee bit jealous with me. I'm sure. Well, I know she gets. Nikki.
I'll tell you to bugger off.
Would you say that you're a jealous person in our relationship?
Sometimes a wee bit.
But that's honest. That's honest.
Yeah. And you always how you find it strange that I didn't get jealous.
Yeah, it annoys me.
Yeah.
I
Do you know why though? Do you know why that annoys her?
Why?
Because the avoidant relationship person doesn't mean you don't feel. You really feel. You just it makes you uncomfortable sometimes handling it, so you withdraw from it. So if you don't get jealous, the message that is am I enough? Why aren't you getting jealous? Because am I not good enough? Do you not see me so beautiful? Do you not see other people liking me? Why maybe you didn't love me enough to be jealous? That's what it is.
Spot on, Stephen.
Yes, yes.
But I tell her all the time. Like I'll grab Nikki and hug her. How many times?
Well, now you know it's not enough. You need to be jealous, okay?
That's right, Nikki. You need to be jealous.
How many times did I grab you in a day and hug you and tell you I love you?
Lots.
Yeah.
Right.
But you still didn't get jealous, Stephen. That's icing on the cake. We need jealousy. No, but you know what? I'm not saying you should be. I'm not saying that at all. But sometimes we have a need.
Yeah.
And it's the need to know you're enough. And it doesn't mean that you have to be jealous. It's what Nikki needs is that wee bit inside her that doubts that she's enough. That's all.
It's interesting because I've had situations where like people have quite clearly been flirting with me, right? And I don't ever see it, right? And it's usually Claire or Siobhan or whoever at the shop, and they go, Stephen, if you can't see that, what is wrong with you? But I don't see it. I just think they're being nice.
You're just not looking for it. A lot of people look for it. You're
it's
just
easy the way. You know, like I remember 2 or 3 years ago, because Nikki and I, we always go, like we'll always go away without each other because I think that that's really, really healthy. So it's usually Nikki more than me. So she'll go away like maybe for a week with her friends or a week away with the kids to the caravan or whatever, and I'll stay at home. And we do have family holidays as well. And a couple of years ago, I went away to Dublin with my friends, and it was like loads of alcohol and one of those weekends where you're like spewing your guts up for a week after it. And we were in this bar in Dublin, and there's this girl, and she's like, "Hello, you're Scottish," and she's like, "That's a really crap Irish accent."
It sounded American to me.
Are you Scottish? No, I'm not even going to try it. And my mate Ross was like, Stephen, like, walk away. Stop talking to her. She's trying to get into you. And I was like, no, she's just being really nice. So I suppose I don't see it until I see it. And I think that's the difference, you know, when you're really comfortable and happy with who you're with. You don't really, like, I don't feel a need or a want to be with anybody else, even in that moment. You know, I would never like. I'm honestly, if I figure it out and I think this person's really flirting with me, I'm like, oh my god, shit, fuck, and I almost run away from it. It's crazy. So anyway, I do apologise for going on and on and on about it, but
It's an interesting thing. If anybody wants to understand perhaps why they feel a certain way in relationships or why they react in certain ways, that little quiz is a wee bit an eye opener. I'm not saying it's the rule and that everything goes, but it makes suggestions as to start off why. It's really interesting. I certainly recognise myself a lot in it.
See, my best friends, they check each other's phones and everything. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I would have no qualms about Nikki looking at my phone, but we just don't do it. Like, it's not something that we even. It's not something that we would even think about, but so many couples and so many relationships, they check each other's phones.
Must be an insecurity there though. Must be feeling not things you
Yeah.
don't feel very safe. If you felt safe, you wouldn't have a need to do that.
I just think, like, it doesn't matter whether you're checking up on someone or it doesn't matter about anything. If someone's going to cheat on you, they're going to cheat on you. There's nothing that you can do to change that. Well, I suppose there is, but I think if someone's going to make you question things, sometimes it's not always about that person's actions, is it? It's sometimes a bit more about you and what's going on within you.
No, yeah, there's always two in a relationship. There's always two in a relationship.
Yeah.
It's never nothing. There's never anything straightforward. There's two people that are individual people, and how we react ourselves then causes a reaction in the other person. So you've always got to look at the both sides. Really.
I remember we done this fundraiser thing last year. My friends from the burlesque school in Edinburgh, Sassy Class Burlesque. That's really bad. Can't remember. Is it Sassy? It is Sassy. Anyway, we're doing this fundraiser at Livingston Football Club, and I'd done a live before it, right? And I was like, "Hi guys, we're live, and we're at the Livingston Football Club, and behind me, all the burlesque girls were getting dressed, so they were all like standing with like these wee nipple tassels, and anyway, so like 10 minutes later, he gets a text from Nikki. Hope you're enjoying your night standing with a bunch of naked effing women. And I was like, are you joking? Are you actually kidding me on, Nikki? Come on. But, again.
You know what, though? I get that, because if Scott texts me and he had a lot of women with just boob tassels and things like that, and I'd be like, nee, I'd be on the phone as well. Get home now. You've got 10 minutes, so you're getting a divorce.
I think that's complete madness. Anyway.
I remember I'm the anxious attachment, so I'm the person that gets anxious. So I know that I would react that way, and that because I now know why I react that way, I understand it more. But do you know what? Scott sort of knows me, and he knows how he feels. So he knows he wouldn't put me in that position, Stephen, because he wouldn't be standing there, because he's an avoidant attachment, so he wouldn't want to do that anyway.
Do you? I know we're going down we're not going down a bit of a leafy lane, because this is a really helpful topic for a lot of people, I suppose. I've seen, obviously, I think the guys at the shop would be able to agree with this, but I've seen and read many people, and a lot of people are cheating. There is a lot of people having relationships out with their relationship. I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand it.
It's male and female that are having a lot of relationships. Not just men, it's male and female, men and women.
Honestly, like 90% of the people that we work with are female, and a lot of women are having relationships out with their relationship.
They'll all have their own individual reasons why they're doing that. There's so many different reasons, really. I mean, some people can be very happily married. I mean, really happily married for many, many years and want nothing else except to stay married to that person, but they'll still have relationships out with the marriage.
Do you think that society gives us the wrong message though? Because I think that when someone's looking for something out with their relationship, there's part of that relationship that isn't fulfilling them. You know, and equally, I know people who have polyamorous relationships where they're out there and they're, you know, they have got this very open relationship where they're having sexual experiences with other people and they're okay with that.
I'm not going to judge anybody on the way they live their life. It's a personal choice. And if it's an agreement with their partner, let them live it and let them enjoy their life. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
So, I think the most important thing for me is to say that there is no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
We just are.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, though, you know, if they could communicate with each other and speak to each other about how they might be feeling, I think it would maybe relieve some of the problems that people have in their relationships. You know, like Nikki and I, we'll talk very openly and very honestly, sometimes too openly and too honestly with each other, and it causes fights and arguments and all of that kind of stuff. But I think if people were just really honest with each other and spoke about their experiences in their relationships.
You've got to remember, though, there's a lot more to it than that. Because some people, and again, I'm going to go back to the avoidance type in relationships, attachment. If there's a falling out or an argument or anything like that, that they have no control over this. Part of them inside just shuts down. And it might be actually a few days before they can bring themselves to speak. And they know what they want to say and they're desperate to say it, but there's like a wall that's there. And remember, this is a protection. This is something they have no control over. It's a part of them that has been built since being a child, that is, they can't physically show their thoughts and their feelings. And there'll be many people who might watch this who've been in situations where they've really wanted to, they've been hurt or upset or angry or something like that, and they've really, really wanted to express it. That it's like they just can't get the words out, that they just close down. It's like part of them shuts down, and they can't change that. That's something they need to work through. Because I know that I was like this for a long time. That when I first met Scott, because when I met Scott 20 years ago, I had quite a lot of trauma and different things in my life. I mean, we used to argue, it used to go, or fall out, used to go two ways. Either I wouldn't say it until it came out like a volcano, and I would explode and go absolutely mental. Because what had happened in my life is, firstly, I couldn't speak, or I used to get a consequence of speaking. So, and then when it did come out like that, I was ready to fight. I used to have my fists up ready for him, but that was my defense thing, waiting, because I was waiting for him to hit me, so ready to hit him back, basically, which wasn't a good way to relate. Or the other way would be I would shut down and I physically could not speak to him or look at him for a couple of days. And my defense was to go invisible, to hide, to be safe. So there's reasons why people react in that way. And it's things that you can work through and change. Because I'm definitely not like that now. As soon as I feel like something, I'll calmly express it. But at one time, it would either be close off, shut, hide, or be ready for it to punch somebody in the nose. Which I'm not like now. So people can talk to me now. I don't punch you in the nose. It's okay.
See, Nikki and I, like ever since we've been together, we've been together nearly 20 years now, which is crazy. We talk about everything. You know, if it's annoying you, say it.
Healthy though, Stephen.
Yeah, because you know, previously to us being together, you know, Nikki was in a relationship that wasn't productive. Both of them just didn't work. And she had Dylan and Tamsin, so you know, like she had a family with that person, so it was a big thing, you know, for her to step out of that and walk away from that. But she done it for the right reasons. That was before I came on the scene, by the way, just in case you're wondering. And equally, the relationship that I was in, it had such an adverse effect on me that, you know, I attempted suicide. And something that I don't talk about an awful lot, but woke up in hospital 3 days later, like, you know, this huge big shock. And I think when things get you to that point, and when things get you so that you're so down and so low, just if I'd just spoke about it and I'd just found someone to speak about it to, it would have made everything so much easier. And that's why I am so passionate about helping people and preventing suicide now. You know, because if I'd just had someone to talk to back then, I probably would never have like taken my car off the road that day.
I think just having someone that you know can listen without judging you, without comment on anything, just to listen and let you speak and hear your story. I think that's what people need in that moment.
Yeah. And you know, Matt, honestly, see Nikki, she saved me. I remember when I met Nikki, I said, I do not want a relationship with someone that's got 2 kids. No way. It's not happening. It's not happening. All right, I love you. It never happened as quickly as that, but you know, like she just got under my skin, and she was just this person that I could speak to and talk to, and then I fell in love with her, and the rest is history. But you know, I was.
You know what I'm laughing for? Because you've taken my mind back to something. The first night I went out with Scott, right? I first met Scott many years ago because we both grew up in Kirkwell, lived in Kirkliston. But when I first started going out with him, he says to me, Susan, I need to tell you something. This is the first night out with him. I want you to know that I don't have a number 4 stamped on my forehead. Because I am never going to be your husband number 4. If you're looking for that kind of relationship, you're not getting it. I am not number 4. And he really stressed that to me on the first night we went out together. He was number 4. He just didn't know it.
That's
And I didn't want to get married again. We lived together for 7 years before we got married, and it wasn't a major thing in my life because we were just living as we are now and quite happy. I didn't feel a need to get married.
See, when you look at, and I always say this to everybody, you know, like just be so aware of your behaviour and how it might be affecting someone else, you know, because obviously I've spoke about that really sensitive subject today. I don't want to talk too much about it because I'll get upset, but you know,
you don't need to talk about it, Stephen. Anyone who knows that nobody would take that an action, even considering suicide or taking that step to end their life, unless they were in a moment of desperation.
Yeah, and you know, like I shared a thing a few weeks back, and like, see, when I'd done that, when I done that with the steering wheel of the car, I instantly regretted it. Instantly, the minute my car went off the road, I instantly regretted it. And you know, it's obviously there was this huge big part of me that was just screaming inside. I wanted to get help, but I didn't know who to get help from. And you know, you're talking 21 years ago. So at that point, you know, there was not really a lot of support. Whereas now it's very, very, very different. But the other person's actions is what led me to do that, because I ended the relationship with her because it wasn't right. It was explosive and it was nice. And for weeks, she would stand outside my bedroom window with large groups of people, taunting, laughing, you know. I would go to work and they would turn up at my work. It was just horrendous. I had no escape.
I had that where a relationship ended. I ended a relationship that wasn't right, and the person stalked me for nearly 3 years, and was hanging about my windows at bus stops at my work and everything. I didn't do anything like you're saying. I done something cracked inside me, but I went out and battered him, and I did go out and I sneaked up behind him and I just kept punching him and hitting him and kicking him where it hurt him. That sounds really terrible, but it was like something snapped in me and I just couldn't cope with it anymore.
That was your way to cope with it, though.
And then I moved, and then I'm actually moved houses because I just couldn't stay there. I couldn't put up with it anymore. That was just that was that moment that I couldn't cope with. My dad had just died, and it was just like, I just can't cope with this anymore. And I just went out and battered them. I must have thought I was like a crazy lady because I think I just absolutely lost the plot actually in that moment. You're right, people's actions can be very destructive.
Yeah, because see if I had told that person what they had done, I don't think they would quite believe the consequences of their actions. So it is really such a huge big thing. Always remember how you treat people, because you just never know what the effect of your words will have, or what your actions will have on someone. And if you're unhappy in your relationship, end it. If you can't fix it, end it. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. Cut off all ties to that person, like I done, and I've lived a very, very happy life for the last 20 years.
Yep, you certainly have, and achieved a lot as well, and helped other people.
Yeah,
done a lot of different things.
Again, it's through lived experience. We speak about this quite a lot. Like when people have been through something, they can relate and they can understand to how other people feel. And like people see that polished version of me, like, hello everybody, but they didn't see all that shite that I went through, and equally all the shite that you went through. So
yeah, but we've talked about this previously, and what I say for me goes for you as well. Everything we've experienced in life, and I'm talking about from childhood right up to where we are now, makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be sitting there doing all the stuff that you do, Stephen, to help other people unless you had experienced all the things that you have in life. All that makes you you. It makes you the wonderful person you are, with that big heart.
Yeah, because we actually spoke about this the other day. We're going really deep today, aren't we? But
I know. Do you know what everybody's like saying? Where's their laughs and their jokes? That's them. Mr. Bob gets.
We spoke about this the other day, and like we'd said that my childhood, it had this complete split. So I got so much nurture and love from my mum, and from my dad things were really very different. But my dad could not and would not see how his actions when I was little could have had such a ridiculous, crazy effect on my life. And I suppose without my mum's influence there, I could have turned out to be quite a different person.
Yeah, well, we would, because they're talking about our main carers. Well, I was talking about your main carers and how safe they make you feel, or how you relate to them, and all that. This sort of stuff is what really seriously impacts you in your relationships now. So if your mum hadn't been such a powerful figure with all that love in your life, things could have been very different.
Yeah. It's so funny because I had so much love for my mum and I was terrified of my dad. Absolutely terrified of my dad. I was scared to even go and get a packet of crisps from the cupboard when I was little. If my dad was in. If my mum was in, I'd be like, I sit with a family bag of crisps. And it's funny though, isn't it, how all of this stuff has such an effect on our adult life and how we interact.
And I know it's a really deep subject, the things that we're covering today, and it's not as much fun as we normally have for people. But if you think about it, every single person listening to us, I bet most people will start to think about, hopefully, how they relate to people and how actually they feel in relationships. And perhaps they'll think about consequences of how they are, but also the consequences of other people make them feel in a certain way. And perhaps they'll think back to things that have perhaps caused them challenges in their life. And you know what? Maybe it's things that they have to work through that they've never really thought about before, but they can understand now that they can change that to live happier, healthier, calmer lives. And if anybody takes anything away from this, I hope they can. because nothing that we're talking about here cannot be worked on and changed. I mean, look at Stephen. Isn't he balanced and sensible?
Well, I get Nikki in again and ask the same question. She'll
Do
tell
you know what?
this
We all,
guy's
we all
right.
need to laugh as well, though. And I actually think no matter what goes on in life, and I seriously mean this, if you can learn not to take life too seriously and laugh at all the mistakes you made, right? And all the mistakes that you still make in life, just laugh at ourselves and think a silly bugger and laugh. That actually gets you through so much. To me, one of the biggest gifts I ever gave myself was to learn not to take life so seriously. So that means I don't have to be perfect. I don't need to be good at everything. I can sit in front of a camera with my hair all sticking up and my looking really stupid, and I can just laugh at myself instead of judging and criticising every single thing about myself. Now I just am who I am, and I accept that. And see if you can get that laughter going. Everything's just better. It is.
Yeah. We have this like Nikki will say, I'm like the morning motivator. I get up in the morning like, morning, hello, would you like a coffee? And let's put on some music and let's dance. Come on, guys, let's dance. And I'll like muck about with the kids and I wake the kids up every morning with the pider. So we do this like with the little ones, not the big ones, because the big ones would punch me in the face. But my granddad done it with me, and it would be like the pider. So I'd get my hand and the pider would like move really fast and tickle them. And the kids wake up every morning laughing with that, you know. But I think that's the key thing, you know, is like make life fun.
All the feelings when I think back to what I was like when I was younger, and the people that come to see me, it's generally feelings that I'm not good enough, that I'm being judged, I'm not slim enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm too shy, I can't speak to people. All these things are like pulling you down, right? Or I can't do that because I won't be good at that, and all these sort of things. Do you know what? If we stop taking all that too seriously, right? And just learn to accept ourselves who we are and say, stuff it. Do you know what? This is me, and I'm just going to laugh, and I'm just going to do the best I can. And I'm going to stop taking life so seriously, and I'm stop going to judging myself and judging other people. It's like a wee door opens into another world.
Do you know what happens as well? Like, I'm very aware of the fact that our children are always watching, right? So now we've got 3 of our children who are all grown up. You know, Dylan's 21, Tamsin's 20, Finley's 17. So they're all like kind of doing their own things and living their own lives. But when we look at their relationships and the way that they have the relationships with the people that they are with, you know, like, so Tamsin, she doesn't live with us anymore. She lives with her boyfriend. She's very much in love with her boyfriend. They've got this lovely relationship. Our son Dylan, he's got this lovely relationship with his girlfriend. He treats his girlfriend with care and respect and lots of love. And so we are seeing the result in our children on our relationship and how it's affected them and brought them up with all that love. And you know, they tell us everything, Susan. They talk to us about everything. And, you know, like, so Tamsin will like talk about her relationship. I'm very mindful of what I say here, but she'll talk about her relationship in ways that I didn't want to hear. I'm like, whoa, too much information for dad. Talk to mum about that. Or, you know, like a great example is little Noah. A few weeks back, he said, Mum, Dad, I think I like boys and girls. I fancy both boys and girls. And we were like, that's okay, that's fine. You know, you can love boys and girls, you can fancy boys and girls. He's like, yeah, I think I want to have a girlfriend and I want to be with girls, but I can look at boys and think that boys are good looking. And we're like, but that's normal. Like, every normal person on the planet sees and feels emotions and whatever for every single person. You know, it doesn't matter about their gender or anything like that. And I think when your children have that opportunity to be able to talk to you, what a different world it is.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's what we've created by having that very loving, open, harmonious relationship that Nicky's a bit jealous in, but still, it's so nice to see that there's that that we're seeing the results of our happy marriage and our children. But it wasn't happy. We've been through shit. We've been through our hard times, but communication was always the key.
Yeah.
Like when Nicky
I
drank,
think communication is actually. I've never, in my past, I wasn't good at communication.
Mhm.
But I know that, and I sorted it.
See, before Nicky, she doesn't drink now. She can't drink, but she knew that if she had a drink, she would turn into the monster, and she would just be nippy. She was never like horrible or abusive, but she was just nippy. And I'm like, you should stop drinking. It's no good for you. What's the point in it? And that would fuel arguments. Now that she doesn't do that, she can't do that. It's changed everything. So
I mean, everybody, all relationships are different. I think that's the important thing to remember, that they're all different. But although they're all different, in different ways, we all come across the same sort of issues, if that makes sense.
yeah. I'm going to jump to the comment because we've been blethering on for like.
Listen, everybody's gone. Everybody's ran away.
I didn't think we were going to be talking so much about that subject today. Emily, hi Emily. Emily's saying there, thanks for being so open, the two of you, both inspirational. Thank you very much. That's very kind.
Thank you, Emily.
Louise is saying 17 years I've been with my husband and 4 kids together. Communication and being open with our feelings has pretty much been essential for us, not only in our marriage but as a family. Absolutely.
That's really good, Louise.
Yeah.
Perfect, really. It's great.
Do you know, sometimes we communicate in the wrong ways though, because I said to Nicky the other day there, we were both quite pissed off, and I says, right, I've had enough of your shite. I'm going to my mum's to stay. Yous cannot get to fuck. I've had enough of yous. Hate yous.
Listen, do you know what? I say to Scott all the time, if you're not happy, Scott, you can leave any time you want. And he'll say, I'm not leaving. I'll say, well, I don't think I'm going anywhere. I'll say, I can pack your bags. You can go to your mum's house. She's got extra rooms. I'm happy to wave to you. I mean, well, he knows that I didn't really mean it either. I just say it because I know that it presses buttons. And sometimes we all like to press buttons. And it doesn't matter who you are or how good the communication. Sometimes we just enjoy pressing a wee button. And we do. Everybody.
It's funny because it's the silliest wee thing. I was looking for a towel and couldn't find a towel. Right? And I was like, I've had enough of this shithole. Nobody can put their clean, dirty towels into the wash, and then they're all hanging wet, and I can't get a clean, dry towel to have a shower. I've had enough of this place. I'm going to stay at my mum's. And Nicky's like, go on then, where you go? You not been to your mum's yet? No? Actually, I'll help you pack a bag. You dickhead.
That's what I would say. I'll help you pack.
She's like, I'm going to film and put you on your Soul Man page, and they'll all see what an arsehole you really are.
Nicky, if you can hear me, I'm with you all the way. Pack his bag.
It's funny though how we can do that the way we can, like, that's where the communication can be too open.
I think when you're with somebody for a long time, especially when you're together in the same house constantly. I mean, I've said to you before, me and Scott will argue about a stupid thing like a teaspoon. Who really cares about the teaspoon, right? Or when Scott comes out, he puts a towel over the banister at the top. He leaves it there. And that really annoys me. So what? In the big day of life, a towel hanging over a banister or a staircase isn't a major thing. Or it's wee things. Like I've got blinds on the window. I like the blind halfway up the window. Right? He likes the blind really open. So he pulls it right up to the top of the window. When I walk past, I pull it back down to halfway. When he comes up, he pulls it back up. So there's actually little sort of daft, sort of silly things that are so unimportant that can sometimes grow arms and legs and become important when you're, especially at the moment when we're really under each other's feet all the time. And in reality, these things just didn't matter.
Yeah, relationships are hard work though, aren't they? You know, like no matter what relationship you're in, there's always going to be difficult times as long as you can recognize it, because like the other day when I had my meltdown, I came into the living room and Nikki was sitting there and she's like totally ignoring me, head the other way. I was like, I'm really sorry for the way that I just spoke to you. And I rubbed her shoulder and gave her a kiss. And she was like, okay. We both calmed down. I walked away, had to walk away because I was just being unreasonable. And I think when you can actually go and apologise, and it's really hard for anybody to fight with someone who's really calm,
Yeah.
because I genuinely was sorry for being a total dickhead. And she was like, I've been working all day, a 12-hour shift, and you're moaning about towels. You could have hung up the towels, you lazy bastard. So
And do you know what? She's right though. You could have hung up the towels.
that's a lady's job. Sorry, I don't.
Oh, Stephen, that's another topic.
Joking.
That's a red flag to the bull, that one. But you know what? Nobody has such a perfect relationship that we never get pissed off or angry at our partners, or we never speak out of turn or argue. So all that's healthy.
Of course it is.
All that's healthy. I would say I'd have more concerns about a relationship where there's never any exchange of words and never argument, because that would say to me that somebody isn't speaking their true feelings.
Yeah.
Nothing's that perfect, ever.
I genuinely don't touch the washing. Like, I'm not allowed to, because apparently when I do a washing, I do it wrong, and I make whites grey, and I do all these different things. I just get it and throw it into the washing machine. She's like, no, you need to have whites and colours. And anyway, so that's why I choose not to do it. I'm not saying that it's a lady's job, but I need training.
I agreed with Scott many years ago who would do what, and I do the housework and the washing, and that's our. But what he does is he does all the cooking, and he does all the gardening. Because I can't stand gardening, and I can't stand cooking. So it actually worked out really well.
Yeah, I do all the cooking as well, so it works. It works really, really well because. Yeah. I'm going to go back to everybody's questions.
Really sorry, folks.
We started something this morning. Kelly, I used to be like that too, Susan. Mine came from the mother wound. That one took a lot of healing. I am the mother I am because of it. It really is so fulfilling. I don't know what you're talking about, but
I know what you're saying, Kelly. I know what you're saying.
Stephanie saying communication is a key problem in my relationship. It's too one-sided. It's like getting blood from a stone sometimes, and causes so much frustration. Like the toddler throwing the toys. Once you get in the mood for a fight, for the people that you know the best, it's easiest to push buttons with. I'm a nasty bitch when I'm pissed off, and I care about the teaspoons. I care about where the towels are.
Do you know what? Honestly, anyone who's watching this, get the link of Stephen and do that retest on how you are with your relationships. What type? Because it's really interesting. It really is.
It's all about normalising it, though, isn't it? And I think anybody who be sitting at home and they're going through a bit of a difficult time with a relationship isn't actually as bad as you think it might be. And if it is really bad, and there's abuse there, there's always more support that you can get as a result of that.
Well, I know that I've always been a bit of a love sponge, always out there looking for love and caring, and put up with things because of that in my life, because I just wanted to be loved. And do you know what? I sort of knew why anyway, to be honest. I didn't sort of know why. But to actually do that test and see it explaining it to me, just dotted the I's, if you like, and just said that's absolutely it. That's why.
I've popped that in the comments there. That's the quiz, so you can go on and you can have a wee look at it. But it's really good. And I think that is.
And I just want to say, I hope I've not bored you too much today. Because Steve and I get together on a topic, we just didn't shut up, actually. But I just didn't shut up.
I don't think
Both as bad as each other.
I think that will really help some people because I truly believe that there's a lot of people that are in lockdown, they're with their partners 24/7 and they just want to rip their heads off and shite in their necks. And
It's a nice way to put it.
true. Like some people are like, get me out the house, get me away from my partner, they're doing my head in. And
I know my husband will be sitting just about crying in the living room now. So I was saying to you earlier, he just went for a COVID test this morning.
Mhm.
And if that comes back positive, he's stuck in the house with me for 10 days, right? I can tell you now, that will drive him mental. He cannot go out the house and is stuck with me for 10 days.
You'll just need to live in the office at the back.
That is where I'd actually come out here and just sit here all day and just go in there for the toilet because I really need my space and he really, really needs his space. I could cope with it a lot better than him, but Scott would just got the wall and thought he'd been stuck for 10 days.
You're so lucky though. I would sit in your office all day long. It's so comfortable in there. I would just be like,
Got my fire, my Netflix, my telly, my coffee machine, reclining chairs, heated blankets. Why would I want to go anywhere?
I know. It's great. If you ever get the opportunity to go and do some work with Susan, obviously you'll not get to lounge about her office all day, but it's just that such a relaxing space. It really is. And Diane had asked as well at the start of the surgery, because we've kind of dominated this surgery with relationships. But Diane had asked, and I want to just touch on that briefly. Diane had said that she wanted to see you talking about your pen, your colour acupuncture.
Yes. Don't know if you can see that.
Like the look of your colour therapy kit you got this
What
week.
you do, I'm trying to see where the camera is. It is. This is my colour pen, and all I do is put it on. If I don't know if you can see the colours glowing there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would get like an acupuncture point, and you just press it on the point, and you can see how the colour goes into the skin.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes through that point because light travels into our body, and it makes wonderful changes. I've been using it this morning. Look at that. How good does that look, eh? That's the red one. And I'll just pick a blue one. These are crystals. These are crystals that it travels through.
When we came on this morning, she was giving herself a treatment.
You see, I don't know if you can see, that's blue.
You can't see the effect on your skin, but you can see.
There.
Is that on? Yeah.
Yeah, it's on. You see it if I do that? See the blue shining?
Yeah.
There's all different colours of the rainbow. And that's all we do. It's just put it on certain points. I've been using it on my face because your whole body is represented in your face. So I was doing that this morning before I came on. Giving myself a treatment. It's quite nice. Bloody expensive set though, I'll tell you. It cost a fortune. When it came through the post, I took a photo of it and sent it to Steve, and he went, 600 quid!
Hello.
It's worth it. It's worth it because the things I'll now be able to do will be fantastic for people.
I really am quite excited about the whole colour part of things, what you're going to bring, obviously to your business, but equally when you're going to bring them into the shop, because I get to play with them before April and before anybody, but specifically before April.
No, I promised April she would be first. That's for the big light that you lie under.
I don't care what you say. I'm first.
We will see. I promise April.
April and I are going to fight over that thing. No, she can have the first shot. She needs it more than I do. I've got beautiful skin. April will be watching this saying, "Hi, yeah, I've got beautiful skin too."
There's loads of stuff that I can do with the colour puncture. It's really good. And I can use the stim pen that I do the auricular therapy for. I can use that on certain certain points before I do the colour, which means that the stim pen wakes up the points, the energy in the points, so that they're more vibrant to take the colour through. And Stephen's cringing because he's scared of my stim pen.
So would you use that stim pen on different areas of the body then? Is that what you're saying? Or different areas?
Different points. There's 4 points on the forehead that are linked to emotions. So I can actually just a little slightly stim pen name. I know that I can work on the forehead with them to do that. And then do the colour puncture on it so that these points are awake. So, oh yes, Stephen, you can go first with that one and perhaps we can video that.
No, you're all right. We'll just leave that one to April as well. So that's us at an hour. That's us at an hour. Would you believe? Surgery done for today, but you know today's been a wee bit of a roller coaster. It's been very open and very honest surgery today, and I do hope that if anybody has been watching that you felt inspired by this surgery. Equally, if you are feeling very low to that point, please do send Susan or myself a message, and we'll be able to help you. If not help you ourselves, we can certainly signpost you on to get you the relevant help and support that you need.
Yeah, I think it's important to say that with Stephen sharing his experience in the car, and in fact I was talking about my own abuse that I went through and how that impacted my life. I think that anyone in either of these circumstances or anything else that perhaps has came up during this chat today, then please get in touch.
And I promise you, we will be able to help you, and we'll help you in a non-judgmental way, and be able to get you the support and the help that you need if it's not something that Susan can give you. So yeah, thank you so much for today, Susan. It's always a pleasure having a good old chinwag with you. And I think today's surgery really has helped many people. Let us know if it's not. Be really honest, give us honest critique and say, not you guys talk a load of nonsense, but every week everybody always says how we really help and inspire people. So hopefully that has helped many of you watching today.
And for anyone who stayed with us to the end, I would like to say a big thank you to you. Yeah,
because that's a mission, by the way, sitting there for an hour and listening to our babbling for an hour. Susan bores me and I have to fill the time after 30 minutes. The first 30 minutes is usually quite inspiring, but then after 30 minutes, I'm like, come on, hurry up, shut up, woman. I'm joking. Obviously, I'm joking. Don't do that. I'm kidding. So yeah, we will see you again on Monday.
Yes, indeed. I'll be back on Monday.
She might know after my last comment. She'll be like, stick your surgery.
I'll be back.
So on Monday, please do let us know if you would like us to cover any topics. We'll definitely have a think about it over the weekend. And have a wonderful weekend, guys. Get out there, get some fresh air, feel amazing. Don't be stuck indoors with your partner. Please don't murder them or do anything terrible. If you do feel that you want to smack them over the head with a frying pan and bury them in the garden, we can support you with that as well. Sorry, that's actually really bad. Susan sitting there cringing, going, "No, Stephen!"
Yes, Stephen, shut up.
So have a great weekend. Susan, say goodbye.
Bye. Bye.